So, on we go with our work, with the report on drivers of certain road vehicles carrying goods or passengers, initial qualification and ongoing education, driving licenses. I give the floor to our rapporteur, Peter Lundgren. Rapporteur.
Thank you so much. When the Commission proposal was first presented, I welcomed it. The purpose of the directive is to raise standards among new drivers and to maintain and improve the professional skills of existing truck and bus drivers throughout the European Union. The directive aims specifically to increase drivers' awareness of the risks with a view to reducing risks and increasing road safety. Moreover, the directive lays down standards on professional skills to ensure fair competition throughout the EU. I believe the proposal will achieve this, and I therefore did not suggest many changes. There were, however, a few things I felt the Commission has missed. My first priority was to safeguard the system of training that we have in Sweden and other countries with work-based learning. A person who wants to obtain a driving license or CPC is accompanied by a certified instructor during ordinary day-to-day commercial activities. This kind of hands-on training is invaluable, as you will learn a lot of practical things that can never be taught in a driving school. I also wanted to give Member States the option of allowing alternatively fueled vehicles up to a mass of 4,250 kilos to be driven on a B license. There are ongoing trials in some Member States where end deliveries in cities are being made with electrical LCVs. It makes sense to allow the extra 750 kilos as long as the increase in mass is due exclusively to the added mass from the alternative fuel system, normally the batteries. I also proposed that drivers should have knowledge and understanding of how to prepare and plan a journey during abnormal weather conditions, such as extremely high or low temperatures, ice, snow, and heavy rain. A person driving in the north of Europe or in alpine regions should know how to attach, for example, snow chains. Unfortunately, at least in Sweden, we see far too often that this is not the case, and this is something you can learn in 30 minutes in a classroom. I am also proposing a system of register and control based on already existing national registers. This will give the competent national authorities the possibility to obtain information about a person's qualification at a roadside check or during an investigation. It will also be very helpful in combating the use of forged certificates, a growing problem. The rest of my amendments are basically clarifications. The Commission proposal is quite unclear in several areas, something that will lead to different interpretation in different countries. We have had two shadow meetings that were very productive and helpful. We took on many good ideas from all of you colleagues, several important things that I myself did not think of. Thank you so much for that.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Mr. Lundgren, for that presentation. I give the floor to the shadow rapporteurs, Mrs. Lukashevska.
Pani Przewodnicząca, tak jak powiedział Pan.
Chair, as the rapporteur just said, the cooperation was really very, very good, and I would wish anyone to be able to listen and accept arguments of others the way it took place during our cooperation with Mr. Lundgren. So really, really thank you for this. We were all focused on really increasing the awareness of drivers so that we have better training, that they really correspond to the challenges of our times. We have 7 compromise proposals. I'm very, very happy that a lot of remarks from MEPs from our committee were adopted, so the EPP will support the compromise amendments and most of the amendments in general, and I think this report will really contribute to improving road security. So thank you very much to Mr. Lundgren and to all colleagues involved, because I think we are actually all women as shadow rapporteurs. So thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Ms. Grappini.
Președintă, și eu vreau să încep prin a mulțumi colegilor, raportorului și raportorilor din umbră, așa cum...
As Mr. Lundgren said, we had very productive meetings. This directive is about improving road safety, which is very important. Also, fair competition by improving skills and training. Everybody can improve their competences, and political barriers can be got round. The S&D amendments have been placed in the compromise, and we support all the compromises in our group. But we've seen that the amendments from the S&D, which are not in the compromise, are also supported. So, therefore, I would like to thank the EPP and the Rapporteur who support the S&D amendments. I think, all in all, the wishes of our group have been reflected in the report, notably operations less than 100 kilometers. That's something we've talked about a lot, and that's been reflected. Also, when it comes to driving, we can't use e-learning. This is learning on the job. You can't substitute that with legal studies for, and I think what we should bear in mind is road safety. I'm happy with the consensus achieved. As regards 95, when it comes to driver training, it's about standardization in road transport. We shouldn't have any surprises when a operator hires a driver to go to another country. I hope that all the colleagues can vote through the report tomorrow.
Monsieur Zille, c'est à vous.
Mr. Seelan.
Thank you very much. Our shadow, Cosmos Zlotowski, is not here. I just would like to say, not on substance so much, but on a procedural point of view, Mr. Cosmos supported all 7 compromises on behalf of our group, and we will support the whole report. So thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. Zila. Ms. Bilbao.
Sí, muchas gracias, Presidenta, y buenos días.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. Good morning, everyone. I'll keep this brief. First of all, I'd like to thank Peter Lundgren for his work. I think we've had very sincere dialogue and cooperation right from square one in discussing the compromises to this proposal. We as a group are happy with the content of his compromise amendments, particularly since we feel that by means of them and other amendments that we'll be voting on, we'll be able to fulfil the objective of this proposal, namely to improve the directive and its implementation, overcome its inadequacies, and make sure that we have a coherent, efficient system. I think the others have covered many of the points. So to be brief, we agree with these goals. We want better training for drivers so as to improve road safety. And for us in the ALDE group, the main thrust of our work during the debate, which has been very constructive, as I say, has been to enhance the standards of driver training and the skills of everyone driving lorries and buses around the European Union with that constant goal in view of improving on the directive and raising drivers' awareness of the risks they face on the roads, particularly when you're talking about dangerous loads, very heavy loads. We need to seek to reduce risks and increase road safety at every opportunity. And we also need thereby to ensure fair competition across the Union. So that's the purpose of the ALDE group. We think those goals will be delivered on, and so tomorrow we will be voting in favour of this proposal. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Bilbao. Madame Kilonen, c'est à vous.
Ms. Kilonen.
Dear colleagues, thanks to Peter and other colleagues, very good cooperation. I have only one point, which I'm a little bit disappointed. You might guess what it is, because I'm a very digitalized person. And I didn't like the idea that we are putting a time limit for e-training, e-learning, because I totally understand that the classroom issue, when it's really needed, and actually the practical training, it's even more important. But we need to do also enabling legislation for the member states, and there's also member states who want to go forward with these different kind of learning methods, and I hope that negotiations continue in trilogues and we find out the solution, because I have realized that the member states' idea behind this e-learning issue is not against the practical learning, but it needs to be flexible and it needs to be open for the future solution also. But that's the only point we in the GUE are a little sad or disappointed, but we understand other colleagues and the spirit of the compromise. But I want to say this because this will come up again with the negotiations when we go forward. But thanks a lot. It was very interesting, and I was very happy to cooperate with you all. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Madame.
Thank you, Ms. Kyllönen. Mr. Kramer.
Ja, ich möchte mich.
Yes. I would like to say thank you for the cooperation on behalf of Mr. Deluda. I don't need to repeat what has just been said. There's the climate aspects and eco-driving, which we would like to have emphasized more strongly. That wasn't possible, but on the whole, we will go along and support the report.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer. I'm now looking towards the Commission, and I give the floor to Ms. Yanidou. Did I pronounce the name correctly?
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Chair, and good morning. We welcome the report, and we welcome the overall support of the Parliament to the Commission proposal. As a reminder, I wanted to say that our proposal was intended to address the shortcomings of the current legislation, which were in four areas. First was the difficulties of drivers to recognize training undergone in another member state. Second, the improvement of the content of the driver's training. Third, difficulties in the interpretation of the exceptions. And fourth, inconsistencies in some areas like minimum age requirements, possibility to combine with other trainings, and the use of e-learning. What we see in the report and the amendments to the report is that they do really clarify and improve our proposal, and they remain in line with the objectives of our proposal. So, of course, we are very happy with this. We are also welcoming the fact that some of the amendments go towards the line of the compromise agreement in the Council, which means that we should be able to have the conclusion of the interinstitutional negotiation quite soon. We have, however, a few remarks on a couple of amendments. The first one concerns an amendment for the driving licence directive, which is to extend the maximum mass for clean vehicles up to 4.25 that can be driven by a BID driver licence. Now, we are in line and we fully understand the objective of this proposal, which is to promote clean vehicles. Nevertheless, our feeling is that this should be better done after an in-depth review and in the context of the review of the driving licence directive. We have a system in place that grants temporary exceptions, and our feeling is that this system is enough for the time being. We have also proposed, some observations concerning three other amendments. The first one is the extension of scope to empty buses that scope of exemptions to empty buses that go back to the depot or the maintenance. We have some feeling that this could have an impact on road safety, so it's an additional exemption that is granted in the context of your report. The second area where we see some problems is the possibility to combine training under other EU legislation with CPC training. Our proposal was saying that it could be up to 1 day that can be recognized from trainings under other EU legislation. Remember that CPC is 5 days, the CPC training. Now we see that one amendment raises the number of one up to 3 out of 5, and we have the feeling that this is a lot. Last point, electronic data exchange of CPC. Again, we are fully in line with the objective of your proposal, but nevertheless, we would like to call your attention to the problem of administrative costs that this would apply to the Member States. So these are our remarks. We are globally happy with the work this committee has done and the amendments. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lundgren, I give the floor back to you as rapporteur.
Well, thank you. I must say it has been a pleasure working together with my colleagues. We have had very constructive dialogue all through both shadow meetings, and I had great help from my colleagues, I will say. I tried to get everyone's wishes into this, and in the end we all aimed for having a better directive, and I hope and I think we have achieved that, actually. I also want to mention that we also voted on a mandate for negotiations, and I hope to reach a quick deal with the Council, and it seems really good right now from what I hear. So thank you very much to all my colleagues. It was my first report, and it was a pleasure to work together with you. Thank you.